post a thing in Discord. And then we're going to be testing some olive to eggplant gradients, because I saw a couple of things online that made me think that green to purple seemed like in muted tones, it seemed like a good idea. So we'll test that out and hopefully do a manicure with it. But let me make a post over here. Okay. I still haven't done my audio filter. I'm sorry. I know the air conditioner's on. And I haven't done my emotes yet. But my Twitch subscriber badges are available if you want to subscribe. You can get a little heart-shaped polished bottle. And it will be next to your name in chat. Last time that I gradiented with these flaky polishes, I was unsuccessful in using a sponge to do it. And then the second, I guess I've done it twice. The first time I realized I would be unsuccessful with a sponge. The second time I tried it again with a sponge and was again unsuccessful. That was for my St. Patrick's Day nail art. I did light green and a brighter green in the background of some shamrock stamping. But using a brush seemed the most successful. Okay, high praise. Have good success in your productive efforts. We're going to see how these gradient together. This gray Nymeria is a new one from Polish as of last Sunday or the Sunday before, something like that. And I felt like it would help me transition between the green and the purple. We'll see if that's true. But we're just going to be brushing carefully on this little palette as a test before we move on to our nails. So let me put down some of the green first. This green is a very muted green. You know, it's got a lot of gray in it, but it is still green. Yes, of course it is, praise. With the name, how could it be anything else? And then this one is called Grindelwald, so, or that's a Harry Potter one, and this one is called Wild Rushes, which I think is in reference to an album of some band. There was a whole collection that had names that were, I think, from an album. Liminal Moon and Alien Bloom and Wild Rushes and I don't remember some of the other ones. These have the same kind of crushed gold flaky in them, though, even though they're from different collections. So they're like sister polishes, as people tend to say. I do have some other polishes back here, painted polish colors, that have a different kind of flaky. If these are feeling too dark, I might end up, not this one probably, because it's got the blue flash in the orange base. This is called Squash and Sleet. It's a very, I'm sorry, that's not in focus because I have manual focus on. I've already worn this a couple of times because it's a really pretty color. I like the contrast between the blue and the orange, but that really doesn't help our gradient situation very well. Is this in focus down here? No. There, it's a little better. Still not super focused. I might have to bring it up a little higher. Or bring the camera down a little lower, actually. Let's see if that does any good. Right there? Or right there? I think that's it. Anyway, let's get some of the Nemeria. Going back and forth over the overlap area helps to kind of gradate the colors. So I'm going to do some gray, and then I'm going to come back in a little bit and do some green again across that space. The pictures that I was looking at had kind of a more mauve-y purple on the other end, but I don't have any mauve-y purples with the same type of crushed flake to match. So we'll see how this blends out. You can see my twin ring lights there in the reflection in the plastic, like little eyes. I don't know what kind of character I'm imagining in my head there, but it's funny to me. I'm going to take the gray over the purple a little bit as well. I really should be waiting for this to dry more in between. But that's boring. I really think I am going to do more waiting though. I feel like the gray is lighter, like it's leaning toward light, and then the purple brings it back down darker again. So I don't know if this purple is the best option for the end of the gradient. I have Liminal Moon, which is a purpley toned kind of a color. Let me pull up my... Okay, so like there is Grindelwald. That's the one that we're using right now. And this one is Liminal Moon. It's a little bit more blue leaning. It doesn't have as much warmth in it. So it was further from the feeling that I was looking at originally, but it is a little bit lighter. We also have the Bell Witch, which on camera looks super blue, but it's not. It's this color. And on my screen in person, that looks it looks like this color. So that's really weird that it's reading the screen differently. It's kind of a more pinky. It's a purple leaning pink kind of a feeling. Let's do a little swatch going toward the Bell Witch next to the original one. I still feel like that's slightly out of focus down here on the lid, but it's hard to tell. Yeah, see, this is brighter. It's got more saturation to it, even though it's lighter. I feel like that definitely does not complete the gradient well. Liminal Moon is one of the polishes that was on this when everything came down, so it's one of the ones that went into the bags of polish that still need to be sorted because I haven't done it yet. So I might have to dig for it, in which case, just be patient with me. I've got stuff on top of it, so. Like I said, patience required. Okay. Let's see if it's in here. Okay. That's that really pretty Never Enough prototype. This is the brand I was telling you these labels tend to want to come off all the time. Polished for days. MTK Designs. Road Lacquer. Different Dimensions. Society Wet. Pep Nail Vibes. Banchromatic Nails. Finger Paints. Oh goodness. And I need to get the bag, I think. So that I can move from one to the other. I know that I've looked at the polishes that have already been transferred from one side to the other. Okay, so no, that's a pretty green though. No. My brain is filling in that theme from, what is that movie called? The one about the vampire who lived next door, and the guy who plays the vampire is the guy who plays Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride. And his like evil theme music is dun 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 dun. So my brain is going no. Okay, let's. Okay, so it's not any of the ones that are new. So let's move polish from the other bag into this bag as we go through, so that we know that the things in this bag are not the one I'm looking for. No. Again, beautiful green. No. Knowing the bottle shape of a brand helps when you're trying to look for things. Like, you're just like, oh, the rectangles are definitely not a polish. All of the ones that are cylindrical, without having a separate cap. Not a polish polish. I don't even have to look at it more closely than that. And of course, second blush is color, right? If it's not a pinkish purple, I obviously don't have to look at it more closely because it's obviously not the one I'm talking about. I think I might have mentioned this brand, the Lacquered Lily. When I went to the indie shop, I got a couple of polishes from them, and they were, a lot of them, pretty thick, which is not a bad thing for some of like the cream or like more metallic-y sort of ones that I got. This glitter, as soon as I got home that evening and opened it up, I haven't added thinner to it yet. Look at that. It's like really dried out, and there was polish all around the rim of the bottle, which means that it probably just dried out a lot. So I need to thin it and see if I can restore the life. Hi, Mom! It does sound like marbles a little bit. I'm looking for, in the unorganized stuff, I told you about the shelf takedown situation. I haven't finished reorganizing all of the stuff and putting it back where it belongs. Okay, here, I'm going to keep this one, the other one, a similar finish. So I'm looking for one of those in this bag. And it might be in here and it might not. It might be somewhere else, in which case I'm not going to further look because it will be outside of... I was telling Colette that I don't have any colors that could take me back toward 5 rose gold rings, but I have this Colors by Leroux from the indie shop called Anaheim or Bust, which could potentially take me back in that direction. So I don't know. Okay, so Liminal Moon is not in here, which means either it's on the random shelf that I put random polishes on when I was in the middle of sorting things that were coming off of the ground, or it is... I don't think it's on the shelf. I looked for it when I was on the shelf, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to look again. Well, the cat's not next to me today. If she jumps up here, then I'll switch it over. She's lying in front of the couch asleep. I'm not going to perturb her just to try to manipulate her to being on camera. Oh, you know what? Actually, it is a possibility that I could have taken that as one of the options when I was showing Melody stuff. So let me look in this box that I took with me real quick as well. I'm not super hopeful that it will be in here. Trust in Flowers is in here because that's slightly more pink. But I don't think that Liminal Moon is in here. No, it's not. Okay, so that means that that's kind of out of the running for today. However, we could, let's try this lighter painted polish one. I told you we're not going to use that Squash and Sleep, but Mystery Crelly Quatre, however you say the French version of that. Rose Quartz Revival 2.0, that's the one without the micro glitter. It's just the Flakies, and Harps in the Haze, which is a very light, sort of olive toned. Right, the Flakies aren't all exactly the same. Like the ones in here are a little bit bigger than the ones in here, but gradating subtly across this gives me a similar mood to the color story of the other ones, even though it's lighter. Let's try this with a sponge and see how successful we are. And we'll also try it with brush and see how successful we are there too. First, let's put down some of this as the base. It's the lightest color. Okay. I don't know where the baby cat is either. Oh no, she's up here on the cat tree behind my head. There, I'll do that. You can have baby cat and me together. I mean, I guess we could just go straight from the green to the purple and the darker colors too, but that feels more disjointed to me. Is that more in focus? I'm having difficulty getting good focus on my little test thing today. I feel like I'm too far away or something. But that's weird. Focus? Not focused, right? Focused? Not focused. Is that focused? I guess that's pretty good. My hand doesn't look focused when it's at the same height though, so I don't know. But it's the most focused, because if I go either direction it gets less focused. Do I have a fingerprint on the screen maybe? Give me a second. Is that better? I don't know. So the Flakies in this Mystery Crelly Quattro or whatever, some of them are gold, some of them are like purplish bluish. I see a little bit of green too, not a ton. The ones in Harps in the Haze they're multi-chrome flakes as well. They're a little bit, they've got some more of the coppery ones. And I don't think that there's as many of the purpley blue ones. And then the Rose Quartz Revival 2.0 has gold ones and other ones too. That's not dry enough to go on top of. So I'm just going to do a little test bit over here by itself. That's just all flaky. Woo, look at that. That, and there's the base color gradient. Just left behind by itself on the sponge. I'm thinking these ones will have to be brush blended too, because that's the same kind of effect that these ones were doing when I was trying to gradate them with the sponge. So. I feel like the yellow might be too pale to blend between the green and the pink. But this here doesn't look like it is too pale. It looks fine, so I don't know. Maybe it's just because it hasn't built up. I gotta let that dry for a minute. It's almost like Neapolitan ice cream. The vibe that that's giving me without the blending. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's take off what I have on right now. You know, waste no time. Be efficient. These are glitter layers, so we're gonna need clips. Where did I put my clips? There should be 5 here. I see 3. So probably they're next to the box in the bag instead of in the box in the bag. Or I took them out for something else and I don't remember where I put them because everything is disorganized right now. Another option, I guess, would be to do a gradient with creams and then do a gold flaky topper over them. In which case I would have to pick some colors. You can really see the difference in the flakies in this little sponged thing. The ones in Harps in the Haze and the Rose Quartz Revival 2.0 are very similar. The ones in the Mystery Crelly Quattro are definitely much more purple. Okay, there's a glitter that wants to stick there. Get out. Then we're going to use the back side of this cotton ball on the next finger. Right? No sense in wasting cotton balls. The edge of that nail. I did a little bit of maintenance filing while I had polish on, and the edge of that nail, you can't see the actual nail 100% clearly when there's polish. Like the edge of the polish could be perfectly in the right shape, but then there's a little bit of an unevenness in the shape of the actual nail. Like right here, I can see there's a little bit more of a corner in the actual nail right there. And now I was able to fix it. I like to file with polish on in general because it helps you to ignore the shape of the smile line. There's a glitter under there. There we go. You know, if it's uneven or whatever, it gets a better shape. No, not 100%. I'm waiting for these test swatch things to dry a little bit, so I'm taking off my old polish while I do that. And then I'm considering doing some testing with some cream polishes in the color or story that I was thinking of, and then just using a gold flaky topper to get the, not completely the same look, because the flakies aren't going to be actually embedded in the color. But the inspiration picture that I was looking at looked like they did just a regular gradient and then they had like gold foil, so it was more irregularly shaped, kind of over the top of the thing, but I could get a similar look with a gold flaky top coat. So I'm going to test that next after I finish removing the polish from this hand. There's a little, the slight peeling from, not slight, the peeling from when I picked my nail polish off like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, still growing out. I knew better, but I did it anyway. And it's not like it's severely impacting my like wear time or anything like that. It was just the very top layer of the nail is slightly peely. But my nails are thick enough that that doesn't make them like super bendy or anything weird. Okay. All cleanish. Let's take a look at cream polishes. My inspiration picture that I was originally looking at, that was giving me, is this. So, like I said, it's more of a mauve-y purple. It's not a purpley purple. And they use more of a gold flake kind of thing. I don't really want to do the stamping today. I'm not in the mood to stamp. I just want to do the gradient. But like I said, the green was much greener green than the gray green that I had, and the purple that I had was a little bit more purpley purple and not mauvey purple, but we can find cream colors probably that match the inspiration picture better. Okay. OPI, Linger Over Coffee, is a very neutral mauve sort of a color. Zoya Cocoa is a little bit more pink. Let me get my purples too, because this is just pinks. I rearranged my swatch stick organization because I have it on a chain, but I'm still working on the way I want it to lie in order to be able to get each chain around each other a little bit easier. Okay. Purples, and we want mauve purples, not blue purples, so those are out. Those are out. These are too saturated, that's too jelly. Those are too gray. Okay, so Zoya Aubrey, right, is in that general feeling. It might be too saturated. Let me look again. Yeah, it is a little bit more saturated. Revlon Hold'em, CND, Married to Mauve. There's one of the ants. Told you we need to spray, or the apartment complex needs to spray. Okay. Sally Hansen, Plum's the word. This one is looking the most, the Revlon Hold'em is looking the most like what I'm seeing in my picture. So then I need they have a kind of a taupey neutral in between that is more minimally visible. So something like this, the Sally Hansen Commander in Chic, right, feels to me like the one that I'm seeing in the picture. It's got a little bit of a purple lean, but not a ton. Okay, and then we need an olive. These are not olive. These are olive. Yeah. Actually, I pick my nail color and then I plan my clothes based on my nails. For work clothes. On the weekend, I don't really care. I just put on whatever I have at hand, and if it goes with my nails, it goes, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, so they have a kind of a more green leaning. It's not a blue leaning olive, so that takes these all out. And these all out. It's more saturated than those. Yeah, those are too blue. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. Sorry, guys. I think these ones are too light. and this one is slightly too saturated. This one looks like it's pretty good. Or the, I have that one right here. This one, Ugly Bottle Syndrome, right? Totally Ugly Bottle Syndrome, but it applies fine. Okay, thanks for hanging out a little bit. Let's see, on the brush, it's just still the solid color, even though the bottle is ugly. Greens tend to be culprit for Ugly Bottle Syndrome the most. I've noticed. Love you too. Okay, so Commander and Chic is right here. This one has a broken bottle bottom. Do you see this? This was not my doing. This was my cat's doing. She was walking along and she knocked it off of. This is before I had my tray. I was just sitting on top of the chair, and she knocked it down, and it landed on top of my my old laptop, which is a hard surface, and it broke off this whole bottom part of the glass, but it didn't actually break into where the polish is. So, you know. So it's still usable. It just has to be like propped up against something because it has no ability to stand on its own. Okay. Let me grab the Revlon. It's right up here. I'm gonna have to get tilted differently while I grab it. Okay. Let's try this with a sponge. You know, they actually don't have a bad brush on the Color Stay Gel Envy polishes. They're kind of the wide flat. Revlon is the company that owns Essie, I'm pretty sure. And they actually just changed out the Essie brush to be wider and flatter too. I don't think that this part of the gradient is super visible in the picture. It's just a small stripe, so I'm making it way too fat in this test. Sorry. Let's try to shrink it. Applying the green. This green is super opaque. It's one coat on nail painting application. You can see there that it sponges a lot more opaquely than the other two colors. Let's put down a little area of Commander in Chic because that would most likely be the base color underneath the gradient. This brush, by the way, also in this polish is super wonky. I need to trim off the hairs that are like coming. Do you see this? Coming out from like way up in the bottle. I'm going to trim those off right now before I forget. Because it's hilariously silly and bad. You know what? I'm just going to pull those ones out. Because apparently they want to just pull out. Okay. The plastic here is broken, is what the problem is. That's probably a result of the impact somehow as well, I would imagine. I don't know. This polish has been through some things. Oh boy. Okay. Let's apply some of the color back onto here. I'm going to do the Commander in Chic color first. Because then the other two colors will go around it. Okay. I need to wait a little bit before I sponge again because I'm picking up the base color. Grump, grump. Now the question is, yes, I agree. The question is, do I want to do all of the nails facing the same direction like in the inspiration, or do I want to switch two of them? I'm kind of the mind that I want to switch two of them, that I want to have these ones going from green to purplish, and then these ones going from purplish to green in the two middle nails. You see when I wait properly how it builds up better? That will still need a third coat in that area though, but I think that is a pretty good blend between the two. Let's try some of this. I don't want to cover the whole nail with Flakies. Maybe just around the edges, possibly. No, I do. I want to cover the whole nail with Flakies. There. Na, 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 na. I like that. Alright, we know what we're doing. That's what I'm going to do. Let's take off polish on my other hand. I'm putting on my cotton, because this glitter is pretty stubborn. You know, I don't know. I feel like the leaves on the inspiration picture kind of take away from the mood. I do also feel like this color that I'm going to is a little bit more saturated. Maybe I should try one of the less saturated ones before I fully commit. That was Hold'em, so slightly less saturated would be Sally Hansen Plum's The Word, which is also right here. If I can grab it properly. This one. See, it's slightly less saturated and slightly lighter. Let's try that while I wait for these to soak. Okay. Let's just use this part of the sponge over on this side. These two polishes, these two Sally Hansen polishes, are some of the first polishes that I got with intent specifically for nail art. I was trying to do a gradient from gray to sort of a mulberry color. Not a gradient, but an ombre across my nails. And these two were good transitioning colors in the middle of that ombre. That's like the most awkward. I'm just gonna do this. And get a visual of how it would blend differently than that one. I think I like that better. It's a little bit more muted. Alright, decisions changed. We're not using the Revlon, we're using the Sally Hansen. Same idea though. You can see the baby's white on her little legs. She's cute. I'm sorry. Praise, I was actually deep in thought about your Shrinky Dink keychains. I was thinking about your sublimation printer, and would that work for printing onto the Shrinky Dink paper without having to worry about bleeding without a protective sealant? I am curious. Okay. Oh, good gracious. Also, I'm wondering about the process that you used when you made your cats into emotes. If you had to use your programs that have non-pixel based scaling ability, because I don't have access to a program like that if I'm going to try to do that with my cats' pictures for my emotes. Okay, that is looking pretty good. We're gonna obviously go over these again with clean cotton ball that doesn't have glitter all over it. Make sure everything is nice and clean before we begin base coat. There's glitter everywhere. I mean, most of it will come off when I wash my hands, but it's still annoying. I did scrub my cuticles before I came in here, but I want to do a little scrape across the nail plate. Make sure that there isn't any excess dry cuticle skin stuck onto my nail. which could prevent good adhesion. I do have a little hangnail here on this thumb that I got on Friday at work. You can see that there's a little bit, right, of the dry cuticle here on a couple of these nails. I'm not going to do a full cuticle remover wet cuticle remove today. We're just going to do a dry scrape and wipe down with acetone again. Remove the little bits. I'm not pressing super hard, but I am not just like not pushing either. I have to push a little bit. But this edge of this tool is less sharp than many. It's got a pretty smooth, rounded edge. So it's not going to scratch my nails as badly as others that I would imagine. Actually, is even, you know, I have got some that could do some damage, but this one's a lot gentler. There's a little stubborn bit. There we go. This is a dual-ended tool, so it's got this wider, flatter one and then a smaller one for a little bit more focused detail if you need to use it. It can give you more targeted removal. Okay. Second hand. There's way less cuticle on this thumb. That's really weird. That compared to the other one. I must have just done a better job last time I did a quick once over. You know, I probably should do a cuticle remover pass, but I don't want to get up and rinse my hands. They tell you that you're supposed to wash it off again when you're done, but I don't want to expose my hands to water right before I paint them today. I don't have time to wait in between, so we're gonna skip it and we'll do it next time. Probably before stream. I'll just take all my polish off and do a proper, thorough cuticle remover deal. And then let my hands have time to dry. My nails, right? The skin around my fingernails doesn't really need to be dry, I guess. Okay. Let's do another one of these. Get rid of all the little dusty bits, all the dry skin that has been scraped off. We are doing a gradient, which I just realized means I need to get my liquid latex out of the box over there, so after I finish removing There we go. All of this. Then I'll grab that, and then we'll put base coat on, and then liquid latex on after base color. Got a little bit of a hangnail trying to happen there too. Okay. Here's that. And let's do base coat. I got some stuff to put my own cuticle oil pens together. Got jojoba oil and vitamin E oil and a mango fragrance and the little click pens. And they were marked as delivered yesterday evening at 9 p.m. But we didn't get them. And I don't know where they are. So I'm going to have to contact Amazon and say, hey, this has happened a couple of times before. And those times they had photos of the delivery, right, where they took a picture of the package where it was, and both of them were not my apartment. So I don't know where they were taken, but I was able to say, hey, that's not my apartment. You took it to the wrong place. This time there isn't a picture, so I mean, obviously they had to have taken it to the wrong place, because my first thought was someone marked it as delivered when it wasn't actually delivered, because they were supposed to have delivered it on Friday and it was running late, and then they might have tried to mark it as delivered on Saturday to like look better for their quota or whatever. But James says that that's not possible for them to do that. So I don't know. I'm just frustrated about it because I was excited to put together my cuticle oil pens. Oh well. Ah, big fuzzy. I was complaining last stream about the fact that I overfiled one of my nails and so they felt lopsided. That has now been fixed. They are all even. And I am much, much more pleased with the gestalt of my hands. Oh, I don't have my cuticle scoop out. Gosh, I'm gonna have to use something else. It's not into small enough. It will do. I'm getting angry. It's a good thing that this is not a super, well, I'm not going to speak too soon. I was going to say this isn't a super involved manicure. Because really it's not. It's relatively straightforward. You know, but things might go wrong. I don't know yet if it will be one and done, first try, got it, no problem. Okay, so let's do base color and then latex. And then we'll be able to move into the sponging. Base color being Commander in Chic, which you can see I've used quite a bit of this bottle, right? It's not a new bottle, so I think I'm just gonna do one pass with this for the base. It doesn't need to be completely opaque. The gradient over the top will be fine, right? Because that's almost opaque. I mean, obviously not completely, but the gradient will finish everything. Easy peasy, no problem. Before I go any further, I really do need to just get my cuticle scoop out, because this is kind of working, but not as well. Where did I put it? Oh, it's right here. I got it. Okay. Capping the tip. Grace, did you hear what I said earlier? Are you still lurking? Okay. That's good enough for base coat, base color. Let's do secondhand base color. And then we will be able to put latex on. Oh, I need to take pictures of the imperfect produce that arrived, so I can put that in Discord. Because I know Sun was curious about that. Sunbird Galaxy. And I was pretty pleased with the quality of everything overall. The box that it came in was not completely sealed on the top. It was like a foldy flap box. And if I had known that, I would have selected a more specific delivery time. Like, I selected any time during the day is fine. Oh no, that's fine, Praise. It was, I don't even, I was thinking about your keychains and the Shrinky Dink paper, right? But then I was thinking about your sublimation printer and wondering if it would be a possible way to do them so that you didn't have to worry about a protective coating on the Shrinky Dinks after they were made, so that they would be able to like get wet without worrying about the ink bleeding. I don't know what material they are, if that is a feasible option. Oh, I'm not even on camera. Sorry, guys. The imperfect produce. All of the vegetables were just kind of loose in the box, which is fine. You know, no excessive packaging is needed. The Brussels sprouts that I had selected came in little mesh bags. I think that's just the way that the grower organizes them. Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was just curious. The broccoli and the bell peppers and the carrots and um, the onion and the limes and the lemons were all just loose in the box together. The cauliflower was plastic wrapped like they have it at the grocery store. I think that's just the way that the manufacturer slash grower does it. And the green beans were in a little paper bag. And like I said, the Brussels sprouts were in a little net bag. But aside from that, everything was just loose. And the top was a little flap top that didn't completely close. So when I got home, those vegetables were just kind of open to the air, which isn't like a super huge problem, right? It was fine. But I just would prefer to know that they had less time being exposed. So I'm going to pick the afternoon delivery slot only for future boxes. All of the produce looks fine. The lemons did have some scarring, but that was listed as the defect when I got them, and I chose to get them because I could work around it and it would be fine. Everything else was looking good. Oh, I did get some cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes too, and they were in a little plastic clamshell. I think again that's just what the grower does. I ate the bell peppers and I ate the tomatoes and I have not eaten anything else yet, but those were fine when I ate them. They were fine. Nothing strangely weird about them. I'm gonna eat the asparagus today. And then you know, just in general, asparagus don't have as long of a shelf life as broccoli and Brussels sprouts, so I'm just being prudent in my prevention of spoilage. Same as I would if I'd gotten them at a grocery store. A lot of this I'm going to take off around the edge real quick because we're putting latex down and I don't want the latex to be on top of undried polish on my skin because I don't think it would stay on very well while I'm sponging if that were the case. Whoops, sorry. I'm not quite in frame. Okay, okay, okay. Let's put the latex on. No, I got it on my nail. That means I'm going to have to go back and make sure that it's not actually touching the nail after it dries before I sponge. Same thing there. Apparently I'm not being super careful today. As careful as I normally am. Okay. We are only latexing the first hand, and we are only sponging the first hand, and then we will switch and do the other hand. Because I don't like the feeling of liquid latex around the fingers of the hand that I'm manipulating the sponge with. I just feel like I'm too sticky and too like uncoordinated with it. I need to refill this. It's getting quite low, the bottle of latex. It's making it harder to get on my brush when I dip. All right. All right. I'm going to go back around and separate the ones that are already dry so that I remember to do that. Okay, let's do the pinky. Okay. That's looking all right. I need to stretch my leg a little bit really quick. Okay, so let's get a fresh sponge. Okay, and let's get our polish. Got some green on my brush. We don't want to put that back in the bottle. So for these ones, we're starting with the green at the base and going toward the more plummy color at the tip. Oh, I don't think that was quite on camera. Sorry guys, we're coming up here a little bit. That's a pretty good gradient. Now for the middle finger and the ring finger, we're switching it. So we're doing the green toward the tip. Just for a little bit of variety. Okay. I think I am going to do a second coat of the gradient, but they're pretty opaque pretty well here on the first. There's just a little bit of unevenness in a couple of places that I think could be blended better. holding the sponge with the thin part at the tip of the nail is kind of awkward, actually. This angle, I would recommend that you just reverse the order of the polishes on a different part of the sponge rather than trying to do it flippy-flopped like I am. You're not able to hold the belly of the sponge as well. Okay. That's fine. There's a little bit of latex stuck in there. We don't want that. I'm going to go back to this first nail with this polish that's still on the sponge from my pinky. And give that its second coat. I want to make sure that I'm getting enough purple on the tip, but not omitting any of my middle color by blending too much. Okay. Commander-in-Chic is trying to fall over. Stop falling over. That's good enough. I'm not going to mess with it further. I was like, I can do one more splotch on the purple and it will be slightly... Nope, 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 nope. Cool your head. Okay, see you later, Praise. I love you too. There's a little place right here where we're not getting enough of color on this side. There we go. That's better. Now, obviously, when we start the other hand, we're going to have to use a different sponge because by the time we do the latex on the second hand and let it dry, we're not going to have wet polish on this sponge anymore. It will have dried. So, okay, let's take off the latex on the ring finger. And on the pinky. We did go up a little high there on the pinky, but we'll be okay. I like the way that it makes the purple all feel like one section, right? Going kind of across. Anyway, we're going to do cleanup on this later. We're going to do the latex on this hand and the sponging on this hand first. And then we'll go back and do cleanup on everybody simultaneously. There's a couple of places that are not completely smooth, like right there, there's a little lump. But that will smooth out with top coat. And we're putting our gold flaky across as well. And that will help us to keep things looking nice too. Oh, I'm not on camera. Sorry guys. Got a hair here. Dings and dents in the base color are not a super huge deal because, like I said, we're going to gradient over the top of them. Unless they're so deep that you feel like they're going to change the way that the color is trying to blend across them with the sponge. But the pressure of the sponge pushing down usually helps to smooth out those anyway, to a certain degree. And then by the second coat of gradient, you're usually fine. I realize that you can only see the top of my head, but that is so that you can have the joy of seeing the little lump that is baby cat sitting on top of the cat tree behind me. Because she's cute, and she doesn't get to be on stream very often because she doesn't like to sit on my chair like Big Cat does. Char and Amber, baby cat and big cat, respectively. Also, sometimes little cat instead of baby cat. Also, sometimes Books Woody instead of big cat. She's still lying in front of the couch, totally asleep. She's been sleeping the whole time I've been streaming. The lazy lump. I just globbed a glob right onto the side of that nail. That's no good. Again, we'll have to just remove that after it dries. Okay. I keep seeing ants in my peripheral vision. Our apartment complex sprays for insects, like they do all of that independently of us. But it's pretty obvious that they need to. These little dudes are coming in here looking for something to drink, I think, more than something to eat. Looking for water. It's been a pretty rainy summer, actually. So they're less desperate than they usually get in the middle of the summer, but bah, I got some on the side of that one too. Grumble, 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 grumble. Okay. That's latex done. This thumb is actually dry enough on the latex to start sponging. So let's get our sponge. I do reuse my sponges. I'm going to trim off the polish off the end of the one I already used and used again on another day, but it's too wet right now and I don't want to deal with getting the other parts of the polish all over my fingers. So we're just going to use a different sponge for this one, for this hand, for now. You see the ant? There he is. Okay, so green toward the cuticle on the thumb. More polish. Gah! This Commander in Chic bottle definitely needs all the help it can get to stay upright. I have it leaning against the stamped in olive. Is that what it's called? Stamped in moss, I think. Stamped in moss. I have it leaned up against to give it some support to help keep it from tipping over because its base is compromised. But it's still not able to stay up the entire time on its own. Even with the help, it sometimes gets knocked a little bit. Because I'm tipping it to get the polish on the brush, right? And then when I set it back up again, sometimes I don't put it in quite the right angle to stay supported. And then he tries to fall. And that's unhelpful. Okay. So then these, we're doing the green toward the tip. Oh no, I'm not getting enough green. There. It's a good thing we're doing a second coat, because that one definitely needs it to even out the placement of the colors. It's okay, but it's not as good as some of the other ones. There's a little bit of a latex bit there on the end of that finger. I'm going to let that blend be blended the rest of the way on the second coat. I think that's fine for the first coat. It doesn't need extra help. Okay. And La Pinky before we go back for our second coat. Sometimes I will use the stem of the brush to get the polish on if the brush is a little bit not as juicy as I would have hoped. Okay. This one is green toward the cuticle. Okay. Let's do second coat. And remove the latex as we go. I don't think my application is on camera, and I'm sorry for that. But I'd rather have the sponging on camera where you can see it and the application maybe not completely on camera than the other way around. Okay. Green toward the cuticle and sponge. There's a little latexy bit. That's I feel like I'm losing out on the middle color on this nail a little bit. There. Might get some more of it back in. That's alright. Those feel like they're gradienting equally. Okay. That's the old sponge. This is the new sponge. Okay. Okay, this one also green toward the cuticle. That's pretty smooth gradient. Okay. Now this one is going with green toward the tip, so we're going to try to get that lined up a little bit better. than we did on the first coat. There, that's all right. Better blend. Got some little leftovers. Okay. Oops, that one dripped a little bit. Okay, and then the ring finger, same thing, green toward the tip. That's got a little bit more purple than some of the other nails. It's kind of leaning the other way more than it should. There we go, that's a little bit more balanced. Okay, and then the pinky. Okay. And this one is green toward the cuticle. All right, that's all right. Let's take off the latex. Yikes, it almost stuck to my other hand. And do some cleanup. And then I'm going to do cleanup before we apply the gold, like major edge cleanup stuff, before we apply the gold flake. And then we'll do more touchy cleanup after top coat. Okay, I need to bring my leg back to a cross leg. I'm going to close my polish because I don't want it to dry out. Then I'm going to get some cotton swabs. If I have them anywhere near me. Could be. Yeah, James took them. I think he did. I think he took them. So we're going to have to do some of this with brush that would probably be better with cotton swab, but that's okay. Let's bring it down here a little bit. This olive green is very pigmented. As we previously established, it's a one coat polish. So it is going to need a little bit more effort in the cleanup, I think, than the other two colors. Not too much, just a little bit more of a focused effort. Especially in places where the skin is not perfectly smooth. Okay, see, that thumb is fine. Something so satisfying about cleaning up nail art. The way that you can go from a kind of an imperfect approximation to a pretty solid, right on the money, clean shape. It's nice. Got a little bit of latex under there. Let's get that out. My ring nails have a little bit less of a jump at the cuticle from, like, the skin here doesn't dip down quite as much to get to the nail as on some of my other nails. Like my middle nail is pretty significant of a jump down. And because of that, it's actually easier for polish to get into my cuticle when I'm doing gradients. And obviously the latex helps, but I can't get like completely down into the little crevice with the latex despite my best efforts. I get closer than some people, but not as close as not needing to clean up. Okay. Do you see how there's more pigment there in the green polish? Which makes it excellent for stamping, which is, I mean, why it's called stamped in moss, because it's supposed to be a stamping polish in addition to being a one-coat cream. Painted polish has really good formulas for those. And this is not as hard to clean up as, what was it that we used the other day? Stamped in charcoal, super dark gray. That was super hard to get out of the skin around my cuticles. It wanted to just sit in my fingerprint ridges and stuff. On the underside of my fingers too. There's a glitter here that I need to bring real close to be able to take out. Hang on. There. This is easier to clean up than that. It's not trying to cling to my skin. That's actually one of the reasons that I'm excited to try the Hollow Taco One Coat Black is because Colette was saying that it's not a pain in the butt to clean up. That it is one coat to get full opacity, but then when you're cleaning up, it comes off like a polish of a lighter, easier pigmentation. So I think that's cool. Sorry, there's a hair that I need to see to be able to get. Get out of there, it won't let go. Okay, that's better. When you hold it this way, you don't get the effect that the purples are lined up, but when you hold it this way, you do. Let's clean up the second hand. I've got a little bit more mess on that thumb. That I'm trying to kind of apparently avoid dealing with because I started on my index finger. Feel badly for the ants, but I also want them to get out of my house. They don't belong here. But in their little buggy world, they are trying their darndest to stay alive, and this is the best option that they saw to try to find water. So, like, yeah. It's like what the Tolkien professor was saying in one of the episodes of Exploring Lord of the Rings about forests and farmers not getting along, even though they both have an equal right to be in the land. They have opposing interests, right? I guess it's similar to that of a predator and prey too, right? They both have equal right to live, but they obviously have opposing interests. There's some little bits of latex in here. I'm just going to kind of push those flatter with my nail here. They'll get smoothed out with top coat and etc., but having a slightly flatter beginning point will not hurt. It will make it easier. I need to trim this little hangnail after I'm done painting everything, because there's a little edge there that's going to catch and rip on things. It's not painful. It looks like it's just a little bit of dried skin that could become a full-blown hangnail if I don't take care of it. Oh, sorry, I think I'm this way a little bit. Oh, for some reason, the green when I was sponging did not get into the cuticle area of this nail as much as I want. I'm going to go in with a little brush and add some green there, because that's not, it looks kind of lopsided. And I must not have been careful enough with my base color either, because that didn't get up as high as it should have either. I'm sorry, I'm doing this super close to my face so that I can see what I'm doing. A little more on the left. Oh, there's apparently some cotton in my acetone jug. Okay, this cuticle needs some cleanup. It's got a whole big lump right there. Hello, and right, and one good. How do you say that? And right? How are you? That's not a very nice thing to say. And I'm just sitting cross-legged while I'm working. If it bothers you, you can not watch. This is the most comfortable way for me to sit while I'm working, and also be able to have my camera pointing at my nails so you can see what I'm doing. There's a little bit of latex stuck under that edge. Let's make sure it doesn't stay there. Okay. Still need to do a little bit from this angle to help the curve smoothly. All right. Okay. There's a little bit of latex on this side too. Right there that I can get out, I think. Let me use this. That works. Okay. Almost done with cleanup, and then we will be able to go in with the glitter. Well, not glitter, gold flakes. And then we will do top coat. The cuticles on these last two aren't too socked in with polish, which is nice. It's just mostly stuff around the edges that went past where the latex was protecting. Okay. There's again a little bit of latex that hung out under the edge there. Okay. Pinky. This has quite a bit of excess up above where the latex was. I'm going to focus on the cuticle first, I think. And then we'll come back and take away that big old glob. Okay. There's again, a little bit of latex. There we go. From where I was not careful enough during application and ran into the nail a little bit. There's also a little glitter. There we go. Now that's gone. We got some glitters stuck here too. Okay. So let's go in with our gold flake top coat. Hey, the big cat's here. Let me move my swatches over here. Whoops, sorry. And we can have some cat cam. There she is. That's sweet big cat. coming out everywhere. Okay. We're going to be using Gilded, which is the relatively new painted polish flaky topper. It has a little bit more variance to the flaky size, I think, than some other flaky toppers have. We're not going to do a super heavy coat. We're actually kind of dry brushing it on because I just want a little bit of the gold flake. I don't want a ton. Let's go this way a little bit. We got a little bit of a lift there. Okay. Oh, just a little bit, right? It's just a little bit of gold flake. Not a ton, just an accenting of the gradient. Okay. Oops, sorry. When I switched hands, I forgot to switch the camera. And we're getting kind of blown out now anyway, so let's adjust a little. There we go. Nope, that's still blown out. The way that the camera and the lights interact with each other is kind of frustrating sometimes because from like one angle it's totally fine, and then if I shift it, it's like suddenly, I don't know, like the transfiguration. Okay. Alright, and then we're going to do top coat. And that's it for today after we clean up top coat. After we top coat, of course. What top coat do I want to use? I think I just want to use regular, plain old Glisten Glow top coat today. I did just add a little bit of thinner to this bottle of it because it was kind of getting a little thick in the last parts of the bottle. I refilled the bottle and added a little bit of thinner to keep the consistency nice and even, because that's what they recommend that you do if you're getting a little bit thick. Because I keep refilling the same bottle rather than using a new bottle, it helps to keep the consistency consistent with the original. If I add a little bit of thinner to what's left before I add the new refill top coat, just because if you just add original consistency top coat to a bottle that's slightly thicker, and then you continue to do that, it's just going to make your overall, the bottle will just continue to get ever so slightly thicker and thicker the more that you go along that path. So a little bit of thinner is just adding the solvents that have already evaporated through the course of normal usage, right? Like right now when I'm painting this nail, the bottle is open and it's got a little bit of evaporation going on. Okay. There's a glitter still on this side on the very under edge, trying to cling where he doesn't belong. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup on the edges of that hand, but it's basically done. And then we're gonna top coat the second hand. Same thing. After top coat application, we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup right around the edges again, just to make sure that we're not leaving a bunch of top coat all over our skin. I want that edge to be smooth. There we go. Oh, did we get yawned? She's a sweet one. Oh, there is quite a bit on the end of this finger that still needs to be cleaned up. I guess I didn't get it. This part cleaned up as well as I should have when I went over it earlier. So let's do a little bit of that right now. And there is a little latex bit over here that needs a little bit more top coat over it. I'm going to do that just real quick before the top coat that I just applied is fully dry. It will settle in and make one smooth layer as it dries. Okay. Okay. Hi. Thank you for the bits. That is super sweet of you. I appreciate it. How are you? Yeah, I do nail art. We just finished doing a gradient. I'm applying top coat, and then we're going to do cleanup, and then, well, that's it for stream for today. That's really all I stream is nail art stuff. So nail art testing, nail art doing. Usually I'm doing nail art and I test beforehand in the same stream. I don't think, no, that's not true. I have done a couple testing only streams where I test techniques and color combos and stuff without actually doing the design at the end. I think I've only done that once or twice. Once I did 2 streams in the same day. I did a testing stream and then I stopped and had a break and had some lunch and stuff, and then I came back and I did a stream for the actual doing of the nail art later in that same afternoon. This is Ember hanging out on the pillow with me, but I'm right here. She's like all offended that I got her space. Yeah, my friend Colette, who I actually was able to become friends with through Twitch, she had a nail art channel that I watched for years and years, and then she started doing Twitch, and I started coming and hanging out in her chat, and then she was telling me that I should stream, and gave it a shot. I've been streaming since February, so I don't know. I still feel like I'm new at it. I don't have audio filters on, so you can hear my air conditioner in the background. I'm not like super I don't know. I feel like I'm not super professional about it. I'm just trying to share what I'm doing with people who are interested. I'm just taking the extra top coat out of the cuticle area, right? So that as it dries, it won't pull weirdly or whatever. This nail actually needs a little bit of a file on that edge after I let everything dry. I think I'm going to have to reshape that corner. Okay, let's do some cleanup. Oh, good. You know, well, I do my nails every week anyway, so I might as well have the camera going while I'm doing it. I made affiliate about a month ago, so I have the ability for people to subscribe to me now if you want, and I have 2 subscribers, which is exciting. You're the first person ever to cheer and give me bits, so I appreciate that too. I'm not trying to make it into my livelihood, though. You know, it's just a hobby. I'm a speech therapist in my working hours. Excellent. That's right. We're just going around the edges with some acetone on this little elf brush that's like $1. It's supposed to be a concealer brush, but it's pretty popular in the nail art world to clean up cuticle lines and stuff to make sure that everything's looking smooth and straight and evening, following the cuticle curve and not being wonky and jagged and all that. All right. Okay, pinky. Yeah, some of my fingers are so cooperative in their shape, and some of them are so not. Like, this ring finger is a star student. It's like the most even of all of my nails. This pinky is like the class clown that everybody that's not true. I think it would be, so you're a guy. That is good to know. I think it would be encouraging to other guys who want to do nail stuff to see someone who is not afraid to share their learning process, right? Because there are quite a few guys. I mean, I'm one of the mods, not the mod. We've got a little mod team over on Reddit for the Reddit Lacarista subreddit, and we have some guys that paint their nails and post stuff over there pretty often. And then there's a subreddit for nail polish as well. I don't know if you find a niche where people are into nail art, they could not care less if it's a dude or a gal that's painting, as long as they're good at what they're doing, or good at explaining their thought process and figuring out what they're doing if they don't know yet, right? Or seeing experimentation. That's always fun. Oh, she has. Hello. I love the little freckles on her nose. Well, but see, you don't have to be great at it. You just have to be communicative about it. Like, if you're trying to figure something out and you're trying and trying and it's not working, if you're like, okay, so here's my thought process. It's not working this way, so I'm going to try it this way. And then people get to see you experiment. It's like you're experimenting for them, kind of, right? And then as you figure things out, you become better as you go. When I first started doing nail art stuff, I was not that good. Of course, I wasn't streaming it either, so, you know, yeah. But I did post pictures of it and stuff on the Reddit Lacarista subreddit when I first joined over there before I became a mod. You know, I was just a user. I encapsulated a little bit of the latex in there. But you can't see it because it's on the underside. No one will know. Shh. You know, and I watched a bunch of nail art stuff before I started to try to do it, and, you know, some things were easy and some things were hard. And it's just kind of a process of figuring out what works for you. And of course, you don't have to stream it if you don't want to. The Bliss Kiss mat, yeah. It's a good mat. It works well. It's a pretty popular one, I think, because it's a good size. And it has, I like the little circle-y things to be able to contain stuff, which I'm not using right now because they're covered in polish, but you know. I'm in the middle of reorganizing a bunch of polish stuff because I had to change the way that my polish shelves were hung. So I had a bunch of polish just in a big pile on it for a while, and some of it's now in a big bag. Yeah, I am sitting on an armchair in my little library / nail corner. And this is actually a little, okay, let me zoom you out a little bit. See, this is the chair, right? We've got the cushion of the chair, and this is the arm of the chair. And I actually have this custom made. It's got a sealant on it that's acetone resistant, but it's also made of wood, so it's pretty if it is visible, right? And then I have it's just kind of going over the arm of the chair. Gammy-bill wood something is the people on Etsy that I had do it. Because I don't have a dedicated nail space, but I needed a dedicated nail space because I do my nails often enough that I ruined our ottoman, basically, because I spilled acetone on the top of it too many times. And all my polish was here in this corner, and I was like, I might as well just do my nails here in the corner where the polish is. It would just make sense to be more streamlined. Because my Q-tips are somehow not here, they've vanished, I'm actually just putting acetone on this sponge to clean up the top coat residue that's on the middle part of my hand. Because I'm lazy and I don't want to go get my Q-tips from the bathroom or wherever James put them. Alright. Let's put some cuticle oil on. What cuticle oil do I want to use today? I think I'm just gonna go for my Mango Magic. It's right here. Easy to reach. I had a bunch of stuff to make my own cuticle oil pens. I think I was saying this before you got here. Yo-yos. And Amazon said that it was delivered at 9 o'clock last night, and it definitely was not. So, yeah. I do too, but I don't want to risk getting the Q-tip in my polish that I just finished because my nails are long enough that they go past the tip. I could use my cotton grabber for it, but usually one cotton swab. Like, it's not a bunch of polish, it was just the little residue that I was wiping off of my brush onto my hand. Anyway, all of my supplies that were supposed to come, well, they were supposed to come on Friday, and then Amazon said that they were running late and that they gave an estimate of a couple of days time frame. And then they said that they were delivered yesterday at 9 and they were not here. So I need to either contact Amazon or look and see if maybe somehow it got delivered late, like today, and it was able to be marked, shipped, or delivered or whatever early. Okay. All right. Maybe that nail will be okay after all. Have to let everything settle and see. No, yeah. No, it wasn't. There weren't any notes. I live in an apartment complex. There aren't really a whole bunch of places that they can put the package or the note. It's like the little patio area directly in front of our door. And there's no package there and there was no note. So I'm going to look and see after I cut stream if it ended up getting delivered today somehow while I was doing this, but I doubt it. And if not, I'm going to have to contact Amazon and say, hey, because there have been a couple of times that they have actually delivered to the wrong address. And those ones had photo delivery, so they had a picture of the delivery location. And I was able to see that it wasn't my house, so I could say, hey, that's not my house. But there wasn't a photo this time, but I'm guessing probably the same thing happened. So anyway, that's it for stream. Let me go take a look and see if there's anybody that I feel like hosting. I know that there were some people on earlier, but they might not be on anymore. Bob Ross is on. I guess I'm hosting Bob Ross. Thank you. I'm sure it'll, happen at some point in the near future. It'll come, either the original or the replacement. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for the bits. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you around again sometime soon. Yeah. Bye everybody else who's lurking. Have a good day.